Hello, hi. So today we're going to talk about what can I do about my jammed knuckle. Okay, so before we go further, my name is Swati. I'm an executive moms power coach. So basically, I help moms who are executives and I help them with overcoming the physical challenges of motherhood. This could range from a poor posture to a weak pelvic floor and everything in between. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something which is known as a jump knuckle, a trigger thumb. So basically, the same, a trigger thumb and a trigger finger, they both can be referred to as a jammed knuckle. So when you're talking knuckles, basically it's these parts or these this part of your hand here, and they get jammed up. Now, why does that happen? And what happens here is when you bend your fingers and you're trying to straighten them out, there is like you feel like if it is say my index finger, like it's a bit stuck, and then when I actually move this index finger, it snaps open. So basically, this goes snap, and then I can straighten out the finger. Now, it is something like a trigger that is being pulled and released. Okay, so that's why it's called a trigger finger. If it happens in your thumb, it is known as a trigger thumb. So, people who use their fingers or hands in a lot of repetitive activities, which can lead to repetitive strains or repetitive stress injuries, or RSIs as they're called. So people who type a lot, scroll, golfers who are holding on to their golf clubs tightly with the thumb, these people can get trigger fingers or trigger thumb on jam knuckles. Now, what exactly is happening? I will talk about very briefly before I touch upon what you do for trigger. Now, what is happening is if you look at any muscle, so basically a muscle has got this body and then it tapers down where it is about to be attached to the bone. That part, that ropey part of the muscle is known as a tendon. So if I show you my hand here, and you see okay, you can see it more clearly here. So if you look at these are your tendons, right? So the muscles that are coming from my forearm, they split into these tendons and then they go attached to the bones in my fingers. So these are the tendons. Now what happens is if there's an inflammation, swelling, pain, etc. in your tendon, what happens is these tendons, they are, if they're swollen, so basically they are not the usual size, they have a swelling there. Now the tendon is gliding through this covering. It's called a tendon sheath, if you want to know the name. When the tendon is gliding, so it's like it's moving through a pipe or an enclosed space. If it is swollen, obviously it is thicker or fatter than what it should be, so they cannot glide properly. So it tends to get stuck in the sheet. But when you try and force your finger open or your thumb open, then the tendon noise and then go through the sheath, right? So this is what is happening. Basically, this tendinitis, that is inflammation in your tendons, because of which you're getting that snapping or the trigger. So that's basically what's happening with your trigger thumb or your trigger finger. Now, what can you do? Because there's an inflammation, now, end of the day, or even during the day when you feel or a pain in your fingers or your thumb, use a cold pack. Cold always helps to ease the inflammation. If you've followed me for more than 2 minutes, you know I talk about using cold packs at the end of the day. But in this case, say you have a job where, like, for example, I met somebody who's a money changer. uh, I know that they use machines to put the currency in, and then the machine counts it. But he is a bit old school, so he believes in counting the money with his hand as well. He is a person who had trigger finger and trigger thumb. So if I tell him not to do it, it doesn't make sense because that's his profession. That's what he's been doing over the years. So what I told him was use a cold pack every few hours during your work as well. If you cannot do it during your work, it's okay. Do it at the end of the day. When you wake up, if you're feeling stiff in your fingers, use a hot pack that will help to ease that stiffness. All right. So another thing that most of the people overlook is, second point here, is that you don't want to keep your hand hanging. So basically, not hanging besides your body, but you can probably, like sit like this or hold your hand, basically keep it above your belly button or chest level. What that does is if you keep your hand hanging, what that does is it helps to increase the swelling in your hand, right? So, and this is the basic problem. There's inflammation in your tendon. On top of that, you're increasing your swelling, so you don't want to be doing that. So no hanging your hand below your chest or your belly button area level. So the third thing you can do is simple stretching exercises. So really simple stuff. What you can do is, say, if I show you on both my hands, what you can do is open your fingers, so not just here, but open them out completely and bend. And if not painful, if only stretchy, you can also put your thumb in. That is if your thumb is affected. So you're basically opening and closing. So just do this 2 to 3 times. You don't need to do it too many times. Every hour you can repeat it. Once you open up your fingers, spread them out, put your fingers and thumb together, spread them out together. So this 3 times, and then you can do clockwise and anti-clockwise rotations of your wrist. So you don't want to do this. You want to make big circles, okay? Clockwise and anti-clockwise. Now, 3 simple exercises. You do 3 repetitions every hour. It'll take you what, about a few seconds, less than a minute for sure. So if you go to a doctor, or obviously you'd probably have to go to a doctor to get anti-inflammatory medication. They can also give you some splints, which can be quite useful and are very good for pain relief as well. So I'm not going to talk more in details about that, but doctors can also give you injections, steroid injections, which can be very helpful when you're suffering with this condition. Or if it is beyond that conservative treatment, they can also do like a surgical repair or release of the tendon there. So anyway, that's for you to discuss with your doctor if you have this condition for long and these tips do not help you, if you're beyond that stage where these tips can help you. Alrighty, I hope that was useful for you. If you want to know more about this topic of repetitive strain injuries, trigger thumbs, wrist pain, hand pain, etc., feel free to join my community. I will leave a link in the description of the video. If you're watching me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc., you can find the link there in the description. If you're watching me on Instagram, then the link to my community, which is a free group, you can join that by clicking on my bio. All right, I hope this was useful. Let me know if there are any other topics that you guys want me to talk about, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.